Lillard. He got the shot off. Lillard got it. And the Blazers win the series. Durant, the scoring champ from the top against Marion. Durant, pull-up jumper off the rim.
This is the Limitless Range podcast. I am your host, Corey Chandler. I'm sitting down with my co-host, as usual, PD Podlow.
What's up, what's up?
Also sitting down in the room with our producer, Dougie Fresh. As usual, you can get to us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at One Limitless Range. You can also get to our website directly, limitlessrangepodcast.com, or you can reach us by phone at 360-356-1699. All right, as we predicted last week, a great week of basketball, especially for PD Podlow and myself. Pete, how's your week going, my man?
I mean, good, bro. I feel like we got fucking Miss Cleo and what's another psychic reader on the... Bro, we call everything on this podcast. It's just easy for us. We see the game.
It's the truth, man. If you really want to know what's going to happen in the future, you need to start listening to our podcast. Stop just paying attention to only ESPN. Because it's like we predicted this stuff months ago, and now ESPN's talking about the same stuff you could find on episode 13 of the Limitless Range podcast.
It's true.
Dude, just start spitting out some of the stuff we predicted. Westbrook being broke.
Westbrook being broke. I mean, we don't know for sure if this is true, but I still find it true. Dame over Harden.
Yeah, KD being the best player in the world.
KD being the best player in the world.
Dude, we just predict so much stuff. Harden being overrated in the playoffs. Westbrook being overrated in the playoffs.
Remember when we talked about the marriage thing and we kind of laughed about it with Kyrie Irving, and then all of a sudden Danny Ainge broke up down on ESPN about how it's not a marriage, it's an engagement. Remember, you said it was an engagement, and then Danny Ainge said it. So obviously Danny Ainge is listening. I mean, there's tons of things, man. It's crazy. It's been fun.
Just this recent one with the guys from the Clippers really talking up KD. I don't know if we had that on the podcast or not, but Pete was talking about using that as a tactic.
That's true. Oh, yeah, they should definitely be trying to talk up KD, and then you see what Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley had to say after the game.
So we tried everything. We had several different coverages for KD, and
they didn't work.
like sometimes you come across special people.
That's a good point. What about you, Dougie Fresh? How's work been going this week?
It's great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Loving the new job?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
keeps me off of Twitter too much, but but I'm liking it.
Heck yeah. Well, you know what I want to start with, so you guys mind if I just dive right into the game of the week for me?
Go for it, brother.
All right, man. Obviously the Portland Trail Blazers. Man, after what happened last year in the playoffs, it's crazy because I felt like I was ready to be jacked last year, and I was like, all right, I think we're gonna get the Pelicans, the Blazers. You know, I talked them up all year. We played great team basketball. Terry Stotts is a great coach, saying all these great things, and then it was just like this. Oh man, it was so deflating, dude. And then I had to spend this whole year still talking them up, but everybody else is like, all right, Corey, yeah, Dame over Harden. I'm so sure you biased piece of shit. All year, right? Okay, they don't have enough. You know, Nurkic is out. They ain't going to do anything. Man, I felt like Tuesday's game to me felt like a cheesy sports movie. You know when you watch a sports movie and the way the writers wrote it, you're like, dude, that would never happen. Like, why do they make it so cheesy? Like, just make it a regular basketball game. Like, why do you script it so ridiculous? That's how I felt about this basketball game. With 7:50 left in the fourth quarter, Dennis Schroeder hit a 3 to put OKC up 15. At the 3:55 mark, OKC was still up 8. Portland had gone on a run. I'm like, all right, guys are already texting me, you know, hey, do you think they'll be able to handle Game 6 in OKC? And, you know, this looks like a turning point. The momentum has changed. And I'm like, all right, I gotta settle down. I gotta sit down for a second, catch a breath. And then at the 3:28 mark, right, The crowd had already settled a little bit. You could tell the nerves were hitting Moda Center. And at 3:28, Yusuf Nurkic entered the arena. He couldn't handle it anymore. He drove from his house to the Moda Center and said, I got to be here with my boys.
I heard he caught an Uber, actually.
Is that what it was?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, I read that he drove down. But he drives down to the arena. He enters the arena with 3:28 left. And the Moda Center goes absolutely bonkers, dude. Like, he woke the arena up. Down 8. Like, all right. 2:15 left. Paul George goes to the free throw line. We're down 6.
Joker.
We're down 6, expecting to go down 8, most likely. At least 7. Paul George isn't missing both, right? But as the scripted movie had it, Paul George misses both free throws.
Where you're watching the movie in real life, you're like, no way that ever happens.
Yeah. Right? That ain't happening.
88% free throw shooter misses both.
155, Westbrook offensive foul. CJ then goes down and hits a floater with 139 left to go, only down by 4.
Yeah.
122, Mo Harkless, who couldn't make a free throw the whole goddamn game, somehow miraculously makes back-to-back to only be down 2, which I was like, okay, Mo's only going to at least make 1, bro. Come on, put us down 3. The dude makes both.
That was clutch. Unlike Paul George.
Yeah, the opposite of Paul George.
Yeah. With 1:10 left in the game, I thought OKC made one of the biggest mistakes, and that being their coach. I thought Donovan shouldn't have wasted their last timeout at that point. He calls a timeout, their last one of the game. It comes out, and Paul George turns over the ball. Seth Curry steals the ball. So you drew up a play, and it didn't even work. We come down, we score. Paul George comes back and scores to go up 2. With 32 seconds left, Dame hit that ridiculous reverse layup. Like, he was just so confident. Hits that
shit
reverse.
was nasty.
That reverse was nasty. I mean, the end of the game was just like, I mean, already this dude's blowing up, so now he's got 47. And now it's like the movie, right? We know what's going to happen. Westbrook's probably going to get the ball. The way that they're going to script it up is this guy's going to huck up some dumbass shot, and Portland's going to get the ball, right? We all knew it. Oh, of course. There it is. 18 seconds left. Dame gets the ball, starts dribbling. And you're just like, it's like you just know what's going to happen. And you're like, dude, really? They really scripted this up? Watch, this dude's going to hit some ridiculous shot. And what happened? 2 seconds left on the clock. A jump to the right, fade away from 37 damn feet.
Lillard, long range 3.
I was crazy.
To hit 50 points.
To hit 50 points and to send OKC home with his little confident wave. Goodbye. Dude, I felt like, oh man, I obviously like exploded off the couch. I was just like, dude, it was the most unreal thing. Like, I compare it to the movie, but that's how I felt. I was like, am I dreaming right now? I mean, the shot he hit after the game he had played and the way it all worked out. Oh, dude, that boy is just bad, man. And I just, I can't be more proud of Dame and the Blazers, dude. I mean, I'm so excited for round 2. What was your guys' takes? I mean, obviously,
real talk, I felt it. Dude, you remember in the text with like 6 minutes to go what I said? You remember that?
What'd you say?
In the group chat.
That you felt like Dame was going to bring him back?
No, I said, bro, I swear to God. Remember, even Trey was like, damn, Pete, what a call. There was 6 minutes left to go. They were down like, whatever, 5, I don't know. And I go, dude, my gut's telling me Game's going to hit a walk-off. I swear to God, I said that, bro. You must not have seen it.
No, I wasn't looking.
I was surprised you didn't say nothing about that.
Well, I didn't. I should have gone back and seen it, but I was so into the game, and then also when I was getting into text, I was like, okay, I'm about to get heated because everybody's already like, they're already writing us off again. I'm like, dude, we're up 3-1. We just beat them in OKC. Yeah. If we have to go back to OKC, like, why are you saying we're gonna lose the series? Like, come on, man.
That's how they are. Prisoners of the moment.
Exactly.
But dude,
so I didn't even want to.
I could feel Lillard was getting hot, and I was like, my gut's telling me that at the end of the game, this fool's gonna hit a game winner.
He's clutch.
He's gonna hit a walk off. He hits it, bro, and Trey was like, "Damn, bro, I can't believe you called that." And I was like, I don't normally say that randomly, but
you were scripting that movie that he's talking about.
Well, let's talk about that script a little bit.
Too.
Here's a couple things that I noticed, that were really bad. I like the Billy Donovan timeout thing. I didn't really notice that. That's a good call. What about Westbrook's retarded foul after he missed the shot?
On Mo.
On Mo.
Yeah.
Mo hit 4 free throws.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So that retarded ass foul, dude, they were up 2 with 50 seconds left, I think. And he missed the shot.
It was bad.
And he gives them 2 free points, no wasted time. Think about that. Because it was right off the rebound. He fouled him.
Yeah.
They would have had to dribble up there, run a play, 15, 20 seconds went off, and they would have had to hit it. Which I'm not saying they wouldn't have. The way the momentum was swinging, they might have, but giving them 2 free, that's basically a free field goal with no time wasted. Such a low IQ play, dude. You can't get frustrated in that moment when they're in the bonus.
Yeah, for having so many assists over all these years and triple doubles, it's really weird how Russell Westbrook, no one really ever describes him as being a high IQ player. Like, he's a point guard racking up tons of assists, yet he doesn't make decisions very well. It seems like to me.
Oh, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then also Paul George, okay, I know he kind of choked, but he did hit that clutch jumper. Okay?
With 39 seconds left.
I got flashbacks books because I'm thinking of Westbrook.
Right.
I got flashbacks of Westbrook. You know how many times KD hit a clutch ass jumper with 40 seconds left? And I'm like, hell yeah. And Westbrook, instead of giving it to KD, who just hit the clutch jumper, goes down and forces up some garbage.
Yeah.
Dude, it literally was like, what's that, like, the stress people have? Like the
PTSD.
PTSD, bro. It was like coming back to me. I was like, oh, okay, wait, that's not KD. That's Paul George. It was like, oh my God, bro. He did the same shit,
That's a great
bro.
point.
Because, I mean, you don't know, maybe Paul George, it's another little clutch jumper, right? Give it to him.
Well, it's funny, too, because it's like Paul George after the game with that was just a bad shot. With his salty comment.
I mean, that's a bad shot. Care what anybody says, that's a bad shot. But, hey, he made it. That story won't be told, that it was a bad shot.
The funny part is it's like, I wish there was just a reporter in the room that would have had the nuts to say, well, just out of curiosity, you felt like Dame's was a bad shot. Did you feel like Westbrook's shot before that was a bad shot?
Billy Donovan
That would have been dope.
walked around that so badly in press conferences.
Did they ask him that?
Talking about
What'd
how
he
they
say?
were trying to, they're nailing these shots, and we got him where we want to get him and trying to force him into the mid-range and stuff like that, but they just keep making those. And then it's like, well, isn't that what they're doing with Westbrook? Like, I don't know, and you're letting him take those shots. Well, it's, that's his shot. It's like, no.
Well,
Like,
dude,
you
it's-
can't have it both ways. Like, he doesn't want to say it about Westbrook.
Well, it's funny because we talk about with Westbrook's last shot, and it's so funny that he continues to get into these moments. And going back to the script of a bad, cheesy movie, it's like the guy who talks the most smack in the sports movie, right? The rival, the bad guy, the bully. Something always happens to him. He throws the interception. He gets a turnover. He gets an offensive foul. Whatever it is, it's like that dude always is the one that chokes in the movie. And then the good dude is always the one that comes up. And it's just funny because it's like if the Thunder would have just played good basketball, they would have won the game. So it's not only like the Blazers had to play perfect basketball and Dame had to go off and CJ had to hit the great shots he hit late. The Thunder also had to choke. It was like the combination of the two to come together at the same time was just like, how did this just happen? And it's just, I don't know, man. It's ironic, dude. After we talked about last week with the Rock and the Baby and just all that kind of stuff, man. It's just like, I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. And like I said, with Westbrook never gets humbled. Remember we talked about this last week? Those two were not humbled one bit. They still, I think, felt like they should have won the series.
Yeah.
That shot shouldn't have gone down. It shouldn't have happened that way. They were going to win in overtime. They would have won Game 6 and they would have won Game 7 in their mind if that lucky shot by Dame didn't somehow go in. Like, I swear to God, that's how those two seemed like they thought about it. And that's when you'll never learn.
That they should look at his numbers on the season for shots over 35 feet because it's not a bad shot for him.
No,
That's
I'm
what
glad
he does.
I'm glad you
Him
brought
and
that.
Curry
I'm glad
do
you
that.
brought that up because I do have the stats from that. So this is what's funny. So Paul George calls it a bad shot, right? That's a bad shot. Damian Lillard, from in between 30 and 40 feet this year, is shooting 39% on 51 attempts. So not just like 10 attempts or 15 attempts. From 30 to 40 feet, he is shooting 39%. Paul George shot 38% from 3 this year. So if you're going to call Dame's shot a bad shot, every time you fucking shoot a three-pointer, that is a bad shot, Paul George. Because he has a better percentage between 30 and 40 feet than you do from 25 feet.
I mean, that's a bad shot.
Damn, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. So I really don't want to hear it, man. And I think Stephen A. Smith said it great. Lillard even came out and said it. DZ was talking about in the text. Dude, man up as a superstar. That is bad defense. Yeah. With 2 seconds left, there's nothing else Dame can do at that point. There's 2 seconds left. What, do you still think he's going to drive?
No, I'm with you, bro.
What are you doing?
Dude, check this out. You know me, bro. I pride myself on defense. You know, when it comes to defense, you know I have really high defensive IQ, defensive rotations. That's the shit that I do, bro. That's what makes us good on our Hoop Fest team, whatever.
Yep.
You know, we go against guys way more athletic than us, but our IQ is what wins us games. Dude, I'm watching Paul George. Okay, the guy's right-handed. Why are you shadowing him left? Right. Seriously, think about it. If he was shadowing him right,
that's a great point.
He would not have been able to sidestep and shoot.
That's a great point.
Because he would have been playing his shooting hand. He's playing him left with 3 seconds left, which made him have to lean like that. But if he's shadowing him on his right hand, on his hip, he's easy contest and maybe blocks it. He probably blocks it. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
There,
okay, so he's shadowing him on the wrong side, which allows him to sidestep to the right and shoot with his shooting arm. You should be... And another thing is, you have to know the situation. Once that clock hits 3 seconds, you blitz, especially if he's 40 feet behind, if he's 10 feet behind the three-point line, you blitz him. I promise you, that is what every coach, every great defensive coach, Greg Popovich would have told every guy. If it gets down to 3 seconds, you blitz him now, because the only thing he can do now is some kind of crazy runner where, because he might be able to drive by him, but he's gonna have to do some crazy ass runner, which is a lot harder than even a set shot for him. A jump shot to the side where he's shooting it 37 feet. That made no sense to me. So it was this low IQ defense. You can't even talk about the offense when you didn't play it the best. You know what I'm saying?
Coming from one of the best defensive players in the league.
And just saying that that's a bad shot.
I mean, that's a bad shot.
Like you brought up the numbers, it just means you're not giving Dame Lillard the respect that's due to him. Because if that was Steph Curry or something like, if that was KD, they wouldn't have said, whoa, man, it was a bad shot, but it went in. It's like, no, this is what these guys do. Yeah. And that's what Dame Lillard does. Like, do you watch the tape or not? Because
you don't get a
he's
nickname
one of those
logo,
few.
right?
Yeah, he's one of the few guys in the league where it's like, yep, he pulls up from there and you think it's going in, just like Steph or KD. And I mean, I don't even know who else there is on their level.
You brought up one of the best defenders in the league, right?
Yep.
I'm starting to. You know how we always had this theory, like, oh, in the playoffs you'll see who the best offensive players are. That shit works with defense too, because I wasn't impressed with Paul George's defense like I was in the regular season. Mm-hmm. I'm sick of these regular season players, dude. Like Paul George, Westbrook, even Harden at times. Dude, they're over fucking rated. Yep. Like, seriously.
Paul George has been injured, though. They say he hasn't looked the same. But that's mostly affected his offense. I think. He didn't play with
I'll
the
give
same
him the benefit of the doubt
defense,
because on the Pacers, I've seen him play much better, against LeBron. So, but I've never seen Westbrook play good. And you want to talk about, let's say Paul George is the best player, like some people were saying, right, on that team. You need your second guy. I don't give a shit who you are, bro. Kevin Durant's the best player in the world, and I've thought that for 5 years, 6 years. You need your second guy to come up with timely shots. I don't care what best player on a team you are. Think about it. Would we even be having this conversation if CJ doesn't hit 2 dope-ass leaners to keep him in the game?
No.
To get Lillard in the position to where he can hit the game winner, right?
Yeah.
KD's never had that with Westbrook, and Paul George didn't have that with Westbrook either.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, imagine if Westbrook hit 2 good runners for Paul George. He wouldn't even have to worry about the situation, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, dude, you need your second player. And that's why I think when the comparison to LeBron and KD comes up, I always give it to Kevin Durant, because if you go look at the finals numbers, Kyrie had a way better series than Curry.
Yeah.
So you're telling me LeBron's second best player had a better series than their best player?
You gotta have more than one guy.
How many clutch shots did that dude hit for him?
That's great. Yeah, that's true.
So
shifting it away from Westbrook and Paul George. Just a question that I want to know from you guys, especially after this series. Do you think Billy Donovan is a good coach?
No.
You don't?
No.
Dude,
Right?
bro,
I've been
ask
saying
this
this
guy.
for so long, and
When
I don't
KD
understand
bounced,
why
I
he's...
hate Billy Donovan,
Yeah.
bro. Like, I can't stand. I'm like, he don't want to play for that whack ass coach with this whack ass second star, and it's no spacing roster.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
he knew that
the him. But I think with all of the coaching turnover on all these other teams, I just don't understand why he's still there. I don't think he's worked well.
No.
I think it's halfway his fault when they blew a 3-1 lead to Golden State, stuff like that. I just do not like Billy Donovan. I don't understand it. I don't know why people don't talk about it more often.
Yeah, he had some solid success in college, but I feel like the NBA just hasn't translated for him. And sometimes that's how it is for players, and I think it's the same way for coaches. Sometimes the way that a college game is run benefits certain dudes, and I feel like the way that, it's just not working out for him. I feel like, especially with that team, there's no reason you should have, a lot of it falls on Westbrook, but a lot of it falls on the coaching too, because, and I can't remember what podcast I was listening to the other day, but they were talking about this. Westbrook is never going to be able to be held accountable, and if Donovan can't do that, he's going to continue to get himself in these situations. Because in all honesty, I think all of us can agree in the sports world, all of us that watch the NBA, if you're a really good coach, and we saw Pop do this with Tim Duncan, and it got questioned, and maybe he shouldn't have done it with Duncan at the time, but he sat him late in a game. And this is the moment where okay, Westbrook is a little too excited. Okay, he gets a little too hyped up. He gets the ball. He sees just red, and he just goes crazy. This is the time as a good coach I need to look up, and I need to say, look, Dennis, I need you to run PG for me, okay? Westbrook, you've had an awesome game, okay? This is not the game I need you to do this with a minute left. I need you to sit next to me, and I need you to be a great teammate, and Dennis is going to slow the game down. He's going to get us the best shot, and that's what you got to do to a dude like that until Westbrook can figure out a way to not continue to get your team in these situations. And Donovan will never do that, which means he's going to continue to get run over, and they're going to continue to lose first-round matchups.
Yeah, even Harden got sat down for a fourth quarter in the playoffs at time, and they won the game. And
I think they would have won. If they would
decision.
have sat Westbrook with a minute 20 left, they definitely would have won that game.
Well, dude, here's the thing. Great coaches bring out the best in players.
That's true.
Okay? Did you guys see Kanter's interview? Did you see that thing I sent you? He goes... They flash back to the playoffs when Kanter was playing for them.
Yeah.
And Billy Donovan's like, I can't play Kanter.
Yeah.
Basically saying like he's trash. I can't play this guy in the playoffs.
That's when I started hating Donovan, is when he kept pulling Kanter against Golden State. I was pulling my hair out.
Just think about it, though.
It.
So this dude can't bring out the best in Kanter, thinks he's a problem. Instead of bringing out the best out of this guy, he's basically just saying he's trash. I can't play him. Yep. That's not good coaching. Yeah. Whereas over here, Corey's guy, Terry, bringing out the best in Kanter, a backup center. And, I know Corey, you like to say, well, they had the better team. You're right about that. But coming in, dude, on paper, they did not have the better team. That's why Vegas had the Thunder favored. You know what I'm saying? If you went matchup for matchup, you're going to go the Thunder. Like, coming out the gate, dude, everyone had Westbrook rated higher than Lillard. Me and him, we've always liked Lillard over Westbrook, but everyone had Lillard. Okay, and then Paul George easily above CJ. Yeah. Adams easily above Kanter in the rankings, right? If you said who you're taking. If we did a pickup game, those three would be taken before the Blazers guys. Yeah. Now, you can say the role players are better. I'll give you that. But when it comes to the big three, people would have had the Thunder ranked ahead. And these guys just show that they're better. And, you got to tip your hat to them. And that's what I love about it, is like, it doesn't matter how talented you guys are, or, they got an MVP on their team. Nobody on Portland has an MVP. Yeah. They got a guy who, Paul George was in the running for MVP. So that's two players with MVP caliber talents. Yeah. And yes, me and you think Lillard has MVP talent, but don't nobody give him that credit, until now.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, I've talked about it a lot. I feel like it comes down to, just before we move on, just Dame's leadership and Terry's leadership and just that team and, them staying together for a long period of time. I mean, that core of, Harkless and Aminu and obviously they added Cantor, but CJ and even Evan Turner's been there for a while. I mean, they've had the same group for a little while. And I think CJ brought it up, but this is a great point. After last year, after getting damn smacked in front of everybody, humiliated, right? What brings you up more than that? Because now you're almost playing with house money. There is nothing that can feel any worse than what had just happened to you last year. So it's almost like if we throw everything at the Thunder and we end up losing, it's as the car's starting outside. There's nothing that's going to feel as bad as it did last year.
Yeah.
So we can go out and we can give everything with confidence. And that's why I think CJ looked confident. I think that's why Dame looks confident. I think that's why the whole team is just like, nothing can feel as bad as it did last year. Shoot the ball with confidence. Do whatever you need to do. There's no pressure on my back now. It was all on Paul George and Westbrook because they were favored.
Yeah.
Nurkic is out. If they lose, everybody's gonna be like, they didn't have Nurkic. Westbrook was, they did this and blah, blah, blah. Dame got to almost just play free and go. It's almost like a kid at the park that nobody knows about, and it's just like, let me show you what I can do. Yeah. And it was just like, holy shit. And that's what we saw, man. They got to play with the freedom.
Right.
And it was unbelievable, man.
It's like the kid at the park, like nobody wants him.
Yeah.
I guess I'll pick this guy up.
So even if you make one shot, then it's like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just nail all of them.
It's unbelievable, man.
That was amazing, man.
So proud of Dame, man. I'm telling you, man, Dame over Harden. I'm going to continue to say it, and maybe we'll continue. You said it. Between the two, you'll see who has a better playoffs. And I'm interested to see what the second round does because, I mean, I will say in Harden's defense, he didn't have to necessarily do it. He hasn't had a great playoffs, but he also didn't have to do what Dame did. Yeah. And so that is a tough part. But now he's going to have to, right? Starting tomorrow, Harden is going to have to do what Dame just did. And what can Dame do in the second round? But I'm telling you right now, I think it's going to be after this playoffs. I think a lot more people are going to go, damn, Dame over Harden instead of Corey's just biased. I think a lot more people are going to jump on that.
Dude, I'll go one step above it, man. I'm starting to think Dame's just the best point guard in the game.
Let's go! Yeah. Hot take,
and
baby.
I've always loved Dame. You know that. Like, I said Dame and Harden were already close. I wasn't sure. I was going to let the playoffs decide, remember, who was better. Well, they're deciding it. Dame's balling, and I don't know what the hell Harden's doing, bro. And Rubio's guarding your ass crack, and you can't hit a jumper. I got no idea, bro. Everybody wants to laugh at the defense Utah played, but Harden shot like shit those last couple games, so that defense was working. So, I mean, it comes back to those shot charts. Remember I put up those shot charts a long time ago, and I was showing you guys, like, who's the best offensive player, and, like, you saw KD's. It was like, holy shit, there was no weakness. Yeah. He shot like 45% or better everywhere, whether it was the three, the mid-range, the inside, the paint. And then, you go look at Harden's, and it was like the mid-range was trash. So no matter what, you want to say
very few attempts, too.
Yes, on very few attempts. So you want to say who's better? Dude, one guy can score anywhere on the court at any time, no matter what defense you throw at him, where you pushing him, whatever. The other guy has huge holes in his game.
Well, that's the thing. This year, with Harden hitting these floaters, like in the mid-range and stuff like that, kind of is really just a little thing that he's added to his game has really made a big difference, it seems like. I think that's part of what threw Utah off, or it's like any team is going to try to just make sure he does stuff from the mid-range and he starts just popping it right up over people's hands. It's like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? Well, but still, he started 0 for 16 the other day. So
well, there's 4 levels to the shot chart. There's the three-point shooting, the mid-range, the inside, which is where the floaters come. There's a whole inside arc. There's 4 levels.
Yeah, and then there's the paint. 20 footers. He's not.
Yeah, his huge weakness right now, because he worked on the floaters. You're right. Then that's one thing that he's done a lot better, and I think we'll see it in the series. He'll be hitting some tough floaters. But what they did was they wanted to get behind him, force him into the mid-range area, and then Gobert came up, far enough to where he couldn't shoot floaters. But he, you know what I'm saying? So like they were trying to force him into shooting mid-range.
Yeah.
Shots he didn't practice.
So you got to do. So, well then, let's switch gears then and talk about Golden State before we kind of preview what's coming up here.
Let's do it.
Of course, your boy also went off for 50. And
I think it's kind of funny,
close out
man.
a series.
Both
went off for 50 to close out a series.
Both our guys on the pod.
But of course, this series, I want to know your takes big time because, of course, this series ended up being closer than anyone would have guessed. And the Clippers were really tenacious. It was great. There were some really good games. Of course, there was that comeback upset in Game 1. Kind of set a different tone. But what were the Clippers doing to the Warriors that made them hang in this series? Yeah. Yeah.
You're good.
But
so, well, first off, Durant's been playing this like whack ass facilitator. I'm poor man's LeBron. Seriously, he has been.
It's been trying.
I think a lot of
trying to make a statement or something.
No.
That,
It had nothing to do with that. He's just so unselfish, and he knew his team was like, they got a lot of talent. I think honestly, none of them really took the Clippers super serious at first.
Yeah.
And KD was playing his facilitating role. The best thing that happened to him was that upset, and I told you guys that. Remember when it happened? I was like, dude, this is the best thing that could happen to them. Mm-hmm. And you guys were like, what, really? I was like, yeah. Because
another thing we predicted on the pod. But
another thing we predicted. Because I told you, now KD's going to go back to KD.
Yeah.
Playing his game. You know what I'm saying? And he came out, and what did he do, dude? The last 3 games after that, game 2, or last 4 games, just balled on another level. If you go look at his numbers, they were ridiculous. Dude, I haven't even looked it up since last night, but I'm sure he's averaging like 36 on like 58% shooting.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is to do?
I got his efficiency numbers from game to game, just his scoring, if you want them.
Yeah, go for it, man. Shoot him out.
This is to me why it's a lock that this dude is the best player on the planet right now, man. The dude is so damn efficient, and it's ridiculous as you talk about the numbers. So last night's 50-point game, 15 for 26, 57%. Right? When we see a lot of these other dudes, as we talk about with Harden, we just see, and Westbrook, when he drops big numbers, it's like 40-point or 40-shot games that get you to 50. This dude's insane, man. 14 for 26, 53%. 12 for 21, 57%. 14 for 23, 60%. Even the game when he was
being
in foul trouble,
he
was getting locked up.
Right.
The media was all up in his grill. He didn't blow up the scoring charts, but he still was efficient. 5 for 8 for 62%. And then finish it off, the first game, 8 for 16 for 50%. Dude, every game. Holy shit, as I blow everything up. I'm more excited about KD than I am about Dame. Damn.
Keep going.
And it's just ridiculous how efficient it is. When I looked at those numbers, I'm like, holy shit, man.
Dude.
How are you ever going to stop that? If this dude ever wants to shoot 40 attempts, like, good night, 70.
Right? Oh, my God. And then his free throw percentage, I think he's shooting like 96%.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
96%. It's like, and that's the thing people don't understand, dude. It's like I get in arguments with all these buffoons about like Harden's better, Greek's better, and I'm just like, you guys do understand that playoff basketball is different than regular season Curry's the engine. The engine of what? Are you guys stupid? It's the thing people don't understand, dude. It's like, oh, when Curry scores 40, they win. Well, yeah, when Curry scores 40, KD also has 36, and they win. When KD scores 40, sometimes Curry has 12. So, yeah, they lose. So, of course, their record's better when Curry scores 40.
I love how you keep saying Corey, though. I love that.
Yeah.
No, but
Corey's
seriously.
going off, man.
That's a great point.
It's crazy to me because it's like, oh, Curry's the engine. And I'm like, the little engine that couldn't? Because that's what it reminds me of, dude. Seriously. Like, sometimes he can't even get going. They were so physical with him. And I love Steph Curry, bro. He's a baller. He spaces it. He's had dominant performances, less in the playoffs, more in the regular season. But you saw how physical they were getting with him, man. If you watch the game, there was one play where they shoved him, dude. And he just, like, he looked like he was getting bullied. Yeah. And it's like, I want to ask you guys a question. No KD. Who wins that series right now on the spot? Clippers or the Warriors?
Oh, man, it's tough to know. For some reason, I still just want to say the Warriors, but I definitely would have seen it going maybe 7, and I can totally see why somebody would pick the Clippers, because
if it went 7, it could have definitely been one of those movie scripted type things with the scrappy team coming back.
That's so true.
And then Beverly could focus on Curry the entire series.
Oof.
That would have been a tough one for Curry to handle, because I'm with you when it comes to playoff basketball and Curry, and we've seen it when you're talking about dudes getting, tenacious with him and they're all up in his grill. He's just too small for those kind of moments, so he needs that space, where it's like it's going to be really hard for him to be able to get to the rack or be able to do a lot of those things when dudes are just all up in his grill. And you're right, Patrick Beverly would have been on him. So, I mean, that would have been interesting. Maybe we'll see it next year when KD leaves.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
So then what do you think going into the next series is? I mean, a lot of people are giving the Rockets a chance to beat the Warriors for whatever reasons. I'm sure that you don't have them beating the Warriors. What would the Rockets have to do you think?
I was a little bit worried about the Rockets coming into the playoffs because, just the spacing aspect. I would love to see what KD could do, like I said, in a 5-out. Because, we see how he's dominating. Did you guys see what they did in the last game? They started having Patrick Beverly just double him from the gate.
Yeah.
Like, everyone says, you can't double KD because of Steph and Klay. You can double KD. With Draymond on the court, with Looney on the court, you can double KD anytime you want. I think Houston's going to do a lot of double teaming. KD's playing on another level right now. Like, honestly, he's playing the best basketball I've ever even seen him play.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've already thought he was the best player, and I've never even seen this level he's playing at. I'm like, wow. And I think that the Clippers obviously are a better defensive team than Houston, but they don't have the offensive firepower Houston has, right?
Right. So
this was perfect because the Clippers woke a sleeping giant.
Right.
Which is what they needed, because I felt for the Rockets to win the series, they would have had to, the Warriors would have had to come in lackadaisical, not ready, and then, the Rockets still 1 or 2 quick games, like a 2-1, like kind of like how the Clippers did.
Right.
They still a couple games where they shouldn't have won them, and the Warriors were kind of sleeping because they haven't really played comp basketball, but because they played comp basketball, and they, KD's seen all the traps, all the double teams. He's prepared for all of it. And if Houston sends it their way, it's going to be a little bit weaker than what the Clippers did. So, I still see him dominating. You know what I mean? He'll have to probably use more energy on the defensive end.
Right.
So that's the huge difference there. We don't know, when you're exerting major energy defensively. But I would put the thing that Rubio was doing on Harden? Imagine if KD standing behind Harden, 7 feet tall.
Do you think he's going to be on Harden much in the series?
Oh, yeah. He loves guarding the team's best player. Even when Lou had that great game and he scored on KD, credit to him. Yeah. Who was guarding him? KD guards their best players. Clay too. A combination of those two, but with KD's length, he's going to be able to do that stand behind where you won't be able to screen him. And he might be able to just block him just standing there, right? He goes up for a jumper, just like, boop, just like. So, if Rubio was messing with Harden, I can't imagine Durant. I just hope that Kerr takes, Utah laid a great blueprint out.
Yeah.
Use it. See, this is where the thing that happened is the first round is the Clippers tried to lay a blueprint out, right? But KD's so damn good, he destroyed that blueprint. Yeah. He destroyed it. The Utah didn't have the firepower, right, to answer back at Houston, but they laid a blueprint out to contain Harden and make him shoot horribly. Golden State can use it. Mm-hmm. This was the worst case scenario, in my opinion, for the Rockets, the way the first round played out. Other than the fact that they're going to get more rest, I don't even know if that's a good thing.
Right.
Because I feel like Warriors going to come in fired up, ready to play. So
yeah, I was actually quite impressed too with the way the Warriors played yesterday. That I think is going to help him in this series too, because I definitely do think the Rockets are going to double KD a lot. And if I was a coach, I would figure out every way. We talked about it last podcast. That's the only way to slow this guy down, if there's any way. And it's still probably not going to work, but it's something you're going to have to do. And I feel like yesterday was impressive to watch, as you talk about a lot, how they're able to, pinch off of guys like Draymond and when Iggy's out there and Sean Livingston and stuff like that. I thought yesterday with I thought Iggy and then Draymond had a really efficient game as well. I thought the way that they moved off of their guys pinching, which we've talked about all the time, instead of Draymond just go standing up on the 3-point line by himself and allowing guys to pinch, Draymond's got to start moving, which causes other sorts of stuff to go on, right? The motion and the back cuts. And that's what I saw yesterday. There was a lot of times where KD would get doubled, and then he would kick it down to Draymond, and then Iggy would back cut. And because they had their guys all focused on KD, it allowed for it just constantly. There was just these little alley-oops to Iggy, and then back an alley-oop to Draymond. And then so when you have to put that much into covering KD, if that team can move with the motion they moved yesterday and the efficiency that KD's going to continue to play with, I just don't see a way that the Rockets figure out how to beat them, man. I feel like the Rockets offensively are going to have to be absolutely insane, and they're going to have to, I don't know, man, somehow keep KD from getting 50. I mean, keep KD at 38, and for some reason, Draymond just isn't efficient and misses a bunch, and try to keep Draymond more on the 3-point line. But I don't know. I think you're right. I think the blueprint with doubling KD that they were able to figure out was impressive yesterday, and it seemed like it all came together in the perfect time for this Sunday matchup with the Rockets that we've all been looking forward to. So
for both of you guys, how many games do you think this series goes? How many games?
Well, real quick, let me bounce off that. I like what you're saying there, and let me break some of that down for you. So what happens is they run that double high screen to Curry, and then KD gets a pick, a backside pick where he comes up to the top to try to get Beverly off him. And what they'll do is they try to trap Curry and KD. So basically what happens is Clay's in the corner, right? They're hugging Clay because he's a sharpshooter.
It has to.
Yeah, they have to hug Clay. Iggy is the guy they're sagging off, helping in the paint, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is now when you trap up top and Draymond rolls, now the guy guarding Iggy is playing 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So when Draymond goes in, his assignment is I got to pick up the roller, which allows Iggy. And usually if Iggy could shoot, you would just hit the corner for a 3. But since Iggy's not a good, a knockdown shooter for sure, he's cutting in and just catching alley-oop.
Yeah.
2-on-1 alley-oop, 2-on-1 alley-oop, and that's basically what they keep running. And if you're going to double KD, you're going to double and try to trap Curry. That's the play they're going to run. And, it would be so much deadlier. I mean, imagine if they had a Ilyasova in the corner over there or something.
Yeah.
You really wouldn't be able to help.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You wouldn't even be able to do the 2-on-1. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the answer for it, and that's what they were doing there. And I liked it. I'm with you. I like what they created by... KD was so good that they had to trap him, and they had to try to do stuff to him, and then open it up for everybody. Yeah,
Draymond had a great game, which matches well with
game.
If they're doing things like that to KD, then if Draymond's on and filling up the stat sheet like that, they're going to be rolling. That's
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, man, to answer your question, Dougie, I don't know, man. I got a weird feeling that...
That's why I want to ask you guys.
I got a weird feeling that the Warriors are going to beat them in 5.
Ooh.
I don't know why. I got a weird feeling that everyone's talking this up like the Rockets might upset them. Like this is for sure going 7, one that we're all looking forward to. And I feel like the NBA world is going to be a little bit let down because I just got a feeling it ain't going to go like that.
What do you think, Pete?
I originally picked this series in 6 in our brackets. A lot of people had 7, right? I was thinking 6, but I'm with Corey. But here's the problem with the Warriors. It just depends on how it starts. If the Warriors win, if it's a battle back and forth, then I can, some close fights and the Warriors win, I could see them going 5 and winning it in 5 if they win those close battles. If the Warriors come out, blow them out, like the first 2 games at home, I could see them falling asleep because they just got this identity where they once they realize they can just beat the shit out of an opponent, I don't think it's KD. Because if you notice all those games where everyone's like, damn, they fell asleep, KD still drops 45 and goes off. He even in the post game, he was like, they were asking him, you guys not taking the Clippers seriously? He's like, I can't speak for my teammates. I don't think they're doing that, but I know I'm not. He's like, I'm not. He's like, I know this team's good, and I'm taking them serious. And that's why he was out there giving it his all when it looked like everybody else was sleeping, So,
it's tough, a team like that that's, I mean, they say that's really difficult when you've been to so many finals in a row, all that winning and all those playoff games and all that. I mean, of course, you're a fantastic team, but it's tough to keep that motivation going, right? I mean, Jordan talked about that and Phil Jackson and stuff in their three-peat.
That's true.
Really
it's probably even tougher for
knows, too.
And it's probably even tougher for Steph, Clay, and Draymond because they were there 2 years before KD got there. So,
exactly.
I mean, like, they're on an even longer,
they've been doing this,
So
it's a little too easy to fall asleep. Yeah. Well, let's see, just as a quick walk over to the Eastern Conference. I want to ask you guys.
Let's do it.
So
the what? No,
who?
They're still playing over there? God damn.
I'll just wait until we figure out who's going to go to the finals.
Now, we finally gotten to the point in the Eastern Conference that we've been looking forward
Yeah,
to.
this
We
is-
finally get to watch some Eastern Conference basketball.
This is arguably the best second round I might have ever seen.
Oh, man.
Seriously.
It looks great.
I'm excited.
So, first one on my mind is Bucks Celtics. Now, you guys, both of you, right, have been talking about the Celtics
We've been
with
back
a really
and
good
forth on
chance.
these teams.
Yeah, but
we have.
been
to
tough.
get out of the East and stuff. But it's pretty competitive. And, I mean, just as a quick prediction, how do you think this series is going to go? I mean, now looking at, do you think the Celtics are going to pull this off?
Yeah, man, they've been playing so good. But I'm going to stick with my Bucks pick.
Yeah.
I picked the Bucks, and Giannis, I just don't see anyone that could guard him. They're gonna have some good game plans. I'm sure Brad Stevens will draw some stuff up. But Giannis is playing so good, and Brook Lopez, man. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's such an X factor for them because Al Horford isn't going to be able to sit in the paint and help, And if he switches, he doesn't have the lateral movement to stay with Giannis. You know what I mean? So only one person's going to be able to guard Giannis with their spacing. And it's like, do you guys see anyone on that team that's going to be able to do it? I don't. Like, there's only a few guys in the league that I feel like that could give Giannis a hard time one-on-one. Durant's one of them. He's long, athletic, can protect the rim. And, I mean, Giannis would still get his on Durant. Duh. But, like, I don't see anyone on Boston. Tatum can't guard him. Kyrie can't guard him. Horford's too big and slow. Even though he's a high IQ defender, he's another year older. And he looked older this year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we all saw it.
Giannis loves to have big men defend him. He's even said that.
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, dude drops 50 on Embiid, and we all think Embiid's a great defender young and athletic. So, I mean, I'm a little bit... But, I mean, Kyrie's so clutch. I think it's going to be an amazing series. I think one thing we can both agree on, I'm not sure how you feel about this, but the winner of this series is going to represent the East, in my opinion. I don't know. You feel the same way?
I do.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be... If Boston wins, they're representing the East. They're going to beat whatever team in the next round for sure. If Milwaukee wins, I think they're going to beat whatever team for sure. And they're going to represent the East. I'm going to stick with Milwaukee, and I'd probably say 7.
7 games.
It's going to be a battle.
What do you think, Corey?
Man, I mean, I'm sticking with my pick. I predicted them earlier this year. They kind of fell off, but I'm gonna go with Boston in this. Man, it's a tough one, and I could definitely see it going either way. I'm also going to, actually, no, I'm gonna say Boston closes out in 6 when they get to go back home there. But I definitely see the same kind of series as Pete's talking here. It could go either way. I won't be surprised. I feel like the Bucks are obviously favored, and everybody's kind of talking about them, which is going to put a little bit more pressure on Giannis to be able to do some of these things because, nobody can cover him, and I'm in agreement. He's going to have a big series. But Kyrie's clutch, man, and I just feel like there's some things that Boston's going to have to do, as Pete talked about with Brook Lopez, and the way that the Bucks like to play is they like to play allowing Brook Lopez to sit down low and be a great rim protector. And then they also like to pinch guys down off the wings, and they really like to just make sure you don't score around the rim. I pulled up a percentage here. The Bucks only allow the opponents to shoot 30% of the time at the rim. And when the opponents get to the rim, they only score 57.5% of the time, which shows how great of rim protectors they are. Wow. Both of those stats are the best in the league. But the one thing that I've noticed when I looked up some film on some things that Boston and other teams have done successfully is that comes with a cost, right? When you commit so much guys pinching and helping and making sure nobody's scoring in our paint, when you do that, the one thing it does open up is it opens up some corners occasionally. It opens up some pick and pop for Horford, because I noticed sometimes when Horford would be successful, which who knows, is Horford going to be able to hit those threes? Like Pete said, I mean, Horford just doesn't seem like the same dude, so that'll be curious. I'm curious to see how that'll happen, but that pick and pop with Horford will cause Brook the same way that Pete's talking with Brook pulling Al Horford out. It's just like, what is the Bucks going to do? Are they going to stick to their identity of being an inside presence defensively? Is Jaylen Brown and some of these dudes going to be able to hit those corner threes? Because when I watched it, those are the areas that open up. So for Boston to be able to pull this series off, they are going to have a great three-point shooting series. Marcus Morris is going to have to hit some big shots. Jaylen Brown's going to have to hit some big shots. Jason Tatum and all those boys are going to have to hit some big shots. And like Pete said, Kyrie Irving is going to have to be clutch. And when it comes down to the late moments, Kyrie's going to have to outperform Giannis. That's what's going to have to happen.
I think the stat was the Bucks actually give up the second most three-pointers in the league. And like they give up a lot of three-pointers.
And that's
Kyrie could average like 5 3-pointers a game in this series or something like that. That being said,
I mean, that's what you give up when you're committed to being that team, that's an identity like that. And obviously Giannis is a great shot blocker too, so he plays into that. So I don't blame him for setting that precedent, as that's what they want to do. But you're right. I mean, I can see that's why the stat is they give up almost the most 3-pointers. So
that's their system.
It'll be interesting, man, to see what. And I'm really curious too to see what the coaches do, because I think both of them are really good coaches. What Brad does, because I know Brad Stevens is recognizing this stuff. To see if there are shifts in either one of their systems. Do they stay true to the way that they've played all year, or do they switch a little bit to recognize some of their weaknesses? Yeah, I'm really curious, man, from game to game. I think it's going to be cool. It could be a game of chess in this one.
Yeah, the coaching battle, I think, is really exciting. Yeah. That being said, I'm going to get on the record. I'm taking Bucks in 5. But we'll see how that turns out.
You also have Toronto in your championship, right? Or that's who you
that's true. But I have Toronto coming out of the East. I don't know how that's going to look.
So honestly, nobody really cares about your take.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Don't you have Denver in the finals?
Yeah, I'm just contrarian anyway. But so then
I can see it happening though. I mean, if the Bucks win in 5, I won't be like, oh my god, I'm so shocked. Right. It's possible,
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but I wouldn't be shocked.
I just see it as Boston getting that one game where they just rain threes and blow them out of the building. But that's one thing. Coming back to what you were talking about with the Warriors, overcoming adversity, Pete, and stuff like that in the first round, and how that sets you up. That's could be a big deal for the Bucks. They had 0 adversity in the first round.
Neither did, though. You got to remember.
Right.
Both swept.
Right, exactly.
So, like, both of them are going to be coming in with some swag. And
that's true.
You're right. If had Boston faced adversity, I would be like, dang, that's going to give them a little bit of an edge. Whereas the Bucks just swept and kind of just walked into the second round.
Well,
but they both walked into
annihilated.
The only thing you could add to your point, too, though, is the fact that, I mean, Boston is the team that knocked the Bucks out last year, man, in 7 games, I believe it was, right? I think it was 7. Boston knocked the Bucks off, and so there's that feeling of this team knocked us out last year. You got that feeling, like I was talking about with Dame earlier, and just remembering what it feels like to get beat. And I think Giannis is on another level, so I won't be surprised to see, like you said, if it did go 5, I think it would be like Giannis just absolutely just tears the hell out of this team. But
if
I can't wait for this 5, one, man.
The one thing I would think is Giannis checked Kyrie.
Yeah,
it took him out of the game.
Sure.
Like if Giannis guards Kyrie and takes him out of the game and everyone else can stay at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because because Giannis is so long and his lateral quickness is so crazy. Like, even if Kyrie gets by him, he could, you know what I'm saying? Like, say like he overplays him on the 3 and he drives by him. Giannis has the range to make up and still block him from behind. So, I mean, I could see him guarding him. That would be
There's going to be
crazy.
so many X factors.
Oh, there's
when
so
you
many.
break these two teams down and you really think about it, it's like, is Brook going to be hot from 3? Is Horford going to be the veteran that he is and he's going to be consistent? Are we going to see a Mirotic playoff performance like we saw him do several times? I mean, if Mirotic gets hot, dude, I feel like almost single-handedly destroyed Portland in 2 games last year.
Which Gordon Hayward are we going to get?
Which Gordon Hayward?
You know?
There's so many guys.
Which Jaylen Brown?
Dude, which Eric Bledsoe? It's like you could go back and forth. It's like, damn. This is going to be a fun one, man.
I'm stoked.
I'm excited.
I think it's going to be a really good series either way.
So let's give some props. We're excited about the Eastern Conference for once on the podcast.
Because we talk about this series, and then honestly, thinking about Toronto versus Philly should be a pretty fun series as well. And it's tough to know exactly how it'll go, I would think. What do you guys think? We'll just kind of predict it like how we just did with the Bucks. What do you think, Pete? How do you think Toronto's going to go?
I think Toronto's probably going to win in 6. You know, Philly has the better team, better roster, but with Simmons and his huge weakness and having the IQ defensive players that Toronto have, I feel like they're going to exploit it. Mm-hmm. You know, one thing I was thinking is this is a series where Embiid should try to let others dominate. You know, there's series where I think Embiid should dominate and be the best player, the focal point. But again, in this series, he's going to be banging against 2 good-ass defenders, 2 high IQ players. And if you try to do that, you're not going to beat them. You know what I mean? Marc Gasol has such high IQ. One of the best defensive centers. Ibaka, you know, I mean, dude used to be named Ablaka. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that combo
used to be his nickname,
shut down Vooch.
Yes.
Holy cow.
So, if they want to win this series, this is what they have to do. They have to run 5 out, and this is a series where they have to let Simmons and Jimmy Butler dissect and run the show, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. If they try to go through Embiid, they're going to play right into the hands of their defense. And this, I mean, dude, Siakam can play D. Leonard can play D.
Kawhi Leonard, yeah.
So, think about that, dude. Imagine having, Kawhi Leonard and his 11-inch hands roaming around because he's guarding Simmons. He's just playing free safety, you know, Ed Reed flying around everywhere. It's going to be so tough. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like it's a bad matchup for Toronto, to be honest. They probably would have preferred, you know, I don't know, maybe Milwaukee, you know.
Bad matchup for Philly,
for Philly?
Oh, for Philly, I mean, excuse me.
No,
it's a bad matchup for Philly,
funny.
I think.
That's true.
Because of that.
What do you think, Corey?
I'm with Pete on this. I'm taking Toronto. I'm trying to think of what I had it in the brackets. I think probably 6 was where I had it as well. And for similar reasons, you know, as Pete's done a great job really over the last couple years, but, you know, over the time on our podcast so far, just breaking down the things that teams can do against Ben Simmons because he's not a shooter, man. That's a tough thing to swallow when one of your best players can't do something that is very important from that position. I think the way that if Philly's going to be successful, they're going to have to get Ben Simmons out in transition and running because they're gonna have to play great defense and get a bunch of steals, get out in transition, get Ben Simmons, like he's talking about, out in transition and just dissecting the team that way. Because it's funny, you know, we heard what Jared Dudley said, and from what I've heard, a lot of guys around the league but agree. With Ben Simmons in the half court, he becomes like an average player. And when one of your best players it becomes an average player at a moment in the postseason, that's scary. Right? Yeah. Like, you're like, okay, well, Ben Simmons in transition is, you know, equivalent to one of the best point guards in the league. And then in transition, he becomes Allen Crabbe. I mean, not shooting-wise, but, like, just player-wise. You're like, holy crap, we just traded, like, an all-star, one of our best players for, like, a role player off the bench. But when you look at these teams, it's interesting because when you break down the players they have, they're actually somewhat similar, right? You have Lowry and Simmons, who are kind of X factors at the point guard position. What is Simmons going to be able to do? And what is Lowry going to be able to do? Because Lowry's kind of been that, is he going to go missing? Is he going to do some things? So it'll be interesting to see the two of them. And then you have, sharp shooters in JJ Redick and Danny Green. So they're built kind of similar. And then you look, to the small forward position, you look at Jimmy Butler and Kawhi. You have both two-way players, right? Jimmy Butler's great defensively, as is Kawhi. And both of them have shown glimpses of greatness late in games and on the offensive end as well. I mean, both of them have had some great game winners this year. And then you move to the power forward position, you get two athletic guys in Tobias and Pascal. It's like, wow. And then you go to the bigs position and you're like, okay, now you have Embiid and Gasol or Embiid and Ibaka. And it's like, man, when you kind of look at it, they're built somewhat similarly, right? Like, it's really going to be interesting to see which one of these dudes step up. And I fully believe Toronto, like I mean, Philly will have a couple games, I think, but in the same way we talked about with the Bucks and Boston, it's all about X factors and which guys step up, as we're seeing in a ton of different series, even in the Portland series. It's like when you get Harkless and Immunity to step up over Ferguson and Grant, that's a big help. When you get Seth out playing Schroeder, that's a big help. And same thing in this series. Is Tobias or Pascal going to outduel each other? Is Embiid or Gasol going to outduel each other? Is Lowry or Simmons going to outduel each other? Is JJ Redick going to have a 9 for 11 game from the three-point line? Or is Danny Green going to have a 7 for 10 from the three-point line? Like, these are the things that are going to be very interesting. I think a lot of factors are going to play, but I think when the game slows down and they need to get stops and they can just pinch off with Simmons and help onto Embiid and some of the things that Pete's done a great job breaking down, I can't see Philly pulling this one out. But
so one question I had for you guys that I was just thinking of, because I always have some dumb coaching question, but do you think if Philly gets annihilated, or I mean even if they lose in 5 or something like that, do you think Brett Brown's Philly's coach next year?
Man, it's so hard to break down the coaching because it would be so hard to coach a team that's built like that.
But
that has major weaknesses,
I mean, most coaches don't get the benefit of the doubt like that, where it's like,
you're probably
look
right.
at what they had. But Brett Brown has been there through thick and very thin.
I'll tell you this: I wouldn't fire him if they got stomped out, because it depends on how they get stomped out. You know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't make any adjustments, one thing I think they could do is have Ben. This is what I would do. I thought about this the other day. I would start Ben, right? Play them. And then I would take Ben out like 5 minutes into the game, run through Embiid, just run a bunch of plays for him, let him get all his eating and whatever he needs to stay engaged. Right. When you take Embiid out for rest, bring Ben in and run the Greek freak offense. Mm-hmm. Jimmy, JJ, all the shooters around him. Tobias. And then just run 5 out. Simmons goes hard at their second unit, because now the second unit's going to be in, and just goes at them, And you just have almost 2 different styles that they have to prepare for.
Sure.
I think that would be beautiful. I think that would be genius. If he did something like that, that would be so in their favor to where I'd be like, wow, Philly might have a chance here. Yeah. But if he plays Simmons and Embiid the same time, like stagger those two. Yeah. So that they can be the focal points. And think about it. If Simmons isn't in, say you bring McConnell in or whatever, the backup point guard. He's a good shooter. He's a spot-up shooter. Now Embiid gets to eat and no one can double him. Yeah. So it benefits both of them. Yeah. They don't complement each other at this point. It's the truth. Yeah. Embiid wants to go to the block. That. He wants to go bang down low. You can't do that with an inside guy that never shoots. Yeah. He because honestly he should be the one in the paint. Even though Embiid's better, it makes more sense. Because now, if Kawhi Leonard's on Simmons, if I'm what I think the coach is going to do, and which is what I would do, is I would tell Kawhi Leonard, okay, Simmons is in the game. Anytime Embiid gets the ball, I want you to instant double. Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to be so hard in that series, to see Philly somehow breaking this team down to win that series. It's like, exactly, Kawhi on Simmons, he's going to be able to help on everybody. The last thing you want as any player of the NBA is to not only be covered by Kawhi, but he's the dude that's now coming to help cover you. Like, what the? I already got this. I already got Marc Gasol on my back. Now I got Kawhi coming in to cover me. What the?
And here's the thing. You're talking about two high IQ players, right? So people will say, well, because Big Dan always likes to say, well, Ben Simmons could just cut and catch an alley-oop, like whenever I bring up the spacing thing, or just people like to say that. Yeah. It's not that easy, dude. You got Marc Gasol. You know how high his IQ is? Like, if he sees Kawhi Leonard come down and picks up Embiid, and, he's going to shadow back and, intercept some passes, deflect some passes. He's such a smart center, so he'll know his positioning. He'll know where he can drop back to cut the cutter off, things like that. The IQ is so high from these type of players that you're not going to be able to just have somebody cut in and catch a dunk.
And you talk about this quite a bit too. With the spacing or the lack of spacing in this instance is the fact that Simmons couldn't just cut through all the time because not only for the IQ reasons, but the fact that the whole paint is now stacked with fucking dudes.
Yeah.
The same thing we saw with Westbrook trying to get to the hoop with Steven Adams having to be down there. Yes, Simmons might catch some every once in a while, but when you see lobs happening or you see alley-oop dunks, most of the time it's created off of spacing. And it's not created off of there's 7 dudes in the freaking paint, and all of a sudden Ben Simmons is wide open, so he's just going to join the party of the other 7 dudes and get an alley-oop. No, there's going to be deflections, and you're going to have to be like trying to huck it up over the other 2 dudes that are around you. Like, that's not an easy. How often do you see an alley-oop happen like that? The alley-oops happen like we're talking about with the Warriors. Draymond gets some space. Now Iggy's got space. It doesn't happen from a bunch of dudes just standing around, and that I don't see. I mean, I could see why people would hope that Simmons could pull that off. I mean, that would be awesome. But like, what's he gonna do? Jump over all the dudes just standing in the paint?
He'd have to be bigger.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, you'd see like the big to big alley oop stuff. Like Blake and DeAndre would do that on the Clippers and stuff. And
well, think about it too. Like you're talking about with the big hands,
but man,
with the big hands of Kawhi too. Is it's like, so if Kawhi is the guy helping off and he's pinching, and then he's trying to poke it at Bede, and then Simmons tries a back cut. The last thing I want to do is try to lob the ball constantly over Kawhi's lengthy-ass, big-ass fingers to try to complete an alley-oop. You better be the damn best passer in the league. Maybe Jokic could pull some of these passes off, but like a big that can pass the ball like that over all these people, not happening.
So do you think, Corey, that Brett Brown will make adjustments like what Pete's talking about, or? I mean, I
would hope so. I mean, you should, but the weird thing about the NBA, and I feel like what I see, and I talk about this all the time, is it's like, do coaches even have the power to make some of these moves? Like, I feel like we're paying the stars, you play your stars, the fans are here to watch the stars. I don't want you to win with McConnell. You better figure out a way to win with Simmons. Even though I'm in agreement, I think they should do some of that stuff. But it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like there's so many times we see that there's certain dudes that probably should be sat down in certain scenarios, but it's like, oh, there are stars. We got to run with them. We got to play the same style. And it's like
Westbrook with Donovan.
Why didn't they make the adjustments last year?
They need to take a page out of the Clippers page book. Like, the reason why the Clippers are so competitive, it's not because their starters are great against other people's starters. The starters play hard defense, try to wear out other people, and then they punch you with the 1-2 second unit punch of Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. And their second unit always outscores the other team's second unit by a lot.
That's a great point.
You know what I'm saying? If they take a page out of that, if Simmons could buy in and say, I'm going to run with, the guys that come in, and we're going to just ball out, and we're going to, when we're in our minutes, we're going to outscore them by, 15 in the second quarter. Because if you just go starters against starters, Toronto's going to beat them. And then you bring their second unit in. Toronto's got a better second unit, too. Fred VanVleet or whatever his name is. And they got some players, Ibaka. That's better than what Philly has on the bench. They're not very deep. Mm-hmm. So you need, one of your superstars to lead that second unit and make sure you can outscore Toronto's second unit to give you a chance in this series, in my opinion. And if I was assistant coach, I would be telling Brett Brown, I would be telling him that. And I would be really harping on it, and I think that would be their best.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you should probably fucking do this, because what you're doing is not going to work.
I mean, dude, it's just like with the Thunder. I told you guys, remember, I was like, I hate Westbrook. Okay, I can't stand him. But if somebody hired me right now today as the general manager, seriously, and I said this for years, this is what I would do. I love Steven Adams, great player. If I had Damian Lillard, I'd keep Steven Adams. If I had Steph Curry, I would keep Steven Adams. Perfect complement to each other. I don't. I have Russell Westbrook, and if I got to build around Russell Westbrook, I'm looking for Brook Lopez type player. I'm telling you, dude. I'm not saying they would win. They would win up. They would get out of the first round. If you put a Brook Lopez, you know how hard it would be to guard Russell Westbrook, coming 100, coming in like a cheetah, flying in. Yeah. And no center in the paint.
Well, that's the thing is that, constructing the right team with these players takes that load off of the coach. But some of these teams, it's like, is the coach going to sit someone like Westbrook, or are they going to stagger? Is the coach going to stagger these minutes right between Simmons and Embiid? It's like, are they going to let their stars walk all over them and do what they want?
But just think about this. Imagine how... none of us are a fan of Billy Donovan, right? Mm-mm. But imagine Billy Donovan's job compared to Stott's, right?
Right. Yeah.
When Damian Lillard is a Swiss Army knife, okay?
And easier to get along with, probably.
He could shoot from 40. He could shoot from 40 all the way inside to the 3, okay? You give him a guy that can do like a canter, who can pick and pop a little bit. He can pick and pop a little bit, and he can pick and roll. It's pick your poison. If Lillard goes out to the 35 feet, he could hit that 3. They don't know what people are going to do. It keeps everyone on their toes. That rotations don't know what to do. With Westbrook and Steven Adams, you know how hard it is to coach that? Everyone knows what they're going to do. Westbrook's going to drive all the way in, and Adams is going to be in the paint. It's going to be clogged. We just make sure we keep our hands up and let one of those bozos shoot up a contested little floater. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, that's the game plan there. You don't even have to send help. So now... Dude, it's a chess match. You know how the Clippers were trying to send rotations from the corner and then a 2-on-1. You have to do these counters. With the Thunder, you don't have to counter anything. You know how to stop them. Everyone stay at home. Stay at home on Paul George. Stay at home on Grant. We'll take Westbrook and Adams 2-on-2 because they got nowhere to go. And we'll let Westbrook shoot that 3-point shot. I'll sag off him. It's just the way they're built is horrible. I'm just telling you, teams that are built horribly... It will be. I'm going to give a benefit of a doubt to a coach like Brown because the way they're constructed, it's just really hard to judge a coach on that. Yeah,
it will be really interesting in this series too as we talk about GMs and making moves. Both of these teams have made moves that are very win now, right? Mm-hmm. You have the Raptors who gave away a dude who is loyal and going to stay probably forever to get a possibility of a 1-year rental in Kawhi. And then later on, they had to match it because it's now or never. They had to go out and get Gasol as well. And then you look on the flip side, what Philly did. Philly had to get rid of some of those, that a bench issue now that they had that Pete's talking about because they had to trade away, the Covington 3-and-D guy and the Dario Saric for off the bench kind of guy to grab Jimmy Butler. And then they grab Jimmy Butler, and then they make some more moves, and they go grab Tobias Harris. And it's like both of these teams, this is why, I'm excited for the matchup, because it's like both of these teams threw all their chips in to you better make it happen right now. So one of these teams is going to be excited and happy, and it's going to work out. And one of them is like, man, this thing is going to a interesting. If Sixers lose, what happens? That's a great question, Doug. I mean, I don't know.
No, it is. But if you're a coach right now, Doug, let me ask you, and you're a smart guy. So think about this, right?
Well, thank you.
Let's just go off the most simplest, basic strategy in basketball offense, right? The pick and roll, the pick and pop.
Yeah.
Okay. You got Ben Simmons and Embiid. What are you going to do? Embiid comes up to set the screen. What are you going to do? You're going to sag, right?
Yeah.
Sag off Simmons.
Sure.
Okay? Now check it out.
Sag off him a lot.
So you're the coach. You're coaching the defense against that, right? You're excited about that.
Yeah.
That's easy to guard, right? Now on the other end, Marc Gasol sets the screen for Kawhi Leonard. He can pop, he can roll. Kawhi Leonard can shoot, he can drive. You don't know what he's going to do. Is Gasol going to roll here? Is Gasol going to pop here? Is Kawhi Leonard going to drive here? Is Kawhi Leonard going to pull up and shoot the 3? Everyone's on their toes. The rotation's on their toes. Holy shit, is Gasol gonna roll? Oh my god, what's going? No one knows what's gonna happen.
And suddenly,
it's
Danny
so
Green's
much
in the
harder.
corner.
It's so much harder to guard than it is to guard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I think that
right
Toronto's going to come out of the East, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick at all. Well, fellas, I think that's a good breakdown of basketball, man. I'm excited for this weekend. I'm excited to find out. You know, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I'm excited to see who Portland's going to play. You know, Denver or San Antonio. That's going to be an interesting one. This is going to be a great week. I'm looking forward to this Sunday matchup with the Rockets and Warriors. We've all been looking forward to that all year. It felt like it was coming. Most people thought it was probably Western Conference Finals bound, but Portland slipped into the 3 seed, so now we're seeing it in the second round. So this is going to be awesome, man.
I can't. We got to watch some of these games.
Yeah,
together,
let's definitely get together for this one. But you know, it's been great, and as always, you know.
KD, best player on the planet. All right, we out.
Stop it. I haven't even finished yet. That's why Pete can't be the closer, all right? Let Dame Dollar close this one out for us. So, yeah, all our listeners out there, you know, give us your opinions as always. And if you got any questions about the second round, go ahead and, you know, shoot us in a question. As always, let me close it out like Dame Dollar did from 37 damn feet. Rip City.